Welcome to the Paddle Like a Girl podcast. Today we have Michelle. I'm sure most of you know her as the Wimpy Camper on Instagram. She is a bushcraft and outdoors hobbyist based in Vancouver, BC. She describes herself as a nerdy city girl and a wannabe bushcrafter, sharing her camping experiences and gear insights with her audience. Her content emphasizes fun, accessible, and approachable outdoor activities, often highlighting her willingness to share mistakes and embrace being imperfect, which I personally think we need more of these days in today's social media era. So Michelle, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, thanks so much, Tori, for having me. And I was saying to Tori right before we started recording that Tori's one of the few people that I'm actually kind of shy and an introvert, and I often tell people I'm quite antisocial. So thanks for making me comfortable enough to come on here.
Yay, awesome. I'm glad you feel that way. And yeah, I feel honored to have you as part of the podcast. Like I said, you're the second person I've interviewed. So clearly you were high up on my list of must have guests. So I appreciate your time. We'll jump right into it. I know we don't have a ton of time today. So first of all, I've been following you for what feels like a very long time. I kind of joined Instagram in 2017, I want to say. Like I joined it intentionally, we'll say, in 2017. And I feel like I've been following you since 2017. And so your content always spoke to me just because, well, first of all, your handle is the Wimpy Camper. And I feel like just the humility kind of alone in the title is very relatable. And like I mentioned, in today's world of social media, everybody's stuff is very curated, and it's easy to compare yourself to others online and assume that they're experts in their field just based on what you see on social media. So I really appreciated your just kind of blatant honesty that like, hey, this is me. It's kind of getting started. I'm learning. Yeah. Yeah. So I genuinely appreciated that. And so I guess my question is, what inspired you to transition from your self-described nerdy city girl to embracing outdoor activities and bushcraft?
Well, when you were saying the intro, actually, I didn't realize you were following since 2017 because that's when I created the account. So, and I also created the account intentionally because I was like, oh, I want to learn survival and bushcraft. I've always wanted to learn that. And I wanted to learn from other people. So I signed up to do that, to like learn from other people online because there was already a community out there. And so, yeah. And then I right away came up with that name because I knew nothing. And I didn't want my post to be misconstrued by other people learning, by thinking that I was trying to teach them things because they probably shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. You know, I have no idea what I'm doing. So that's kind of how I got started. And the question of like, how did I transition? I kind of feel like I'm still nerdy and still very wimpy. And my friends that I do go outdoors with, I think they know what I mean when I say I'm wimpy, and how the Instagram is really just like this. I don't want to say it's fake because it's like you really did do that, but then it's like you only see me not talking and you don't hear me complaining about, I hate these mosquitoes. Like, can we go home? Like, how long is this hike? Like, and I'm oftentimes actually the first one in my group to be complaining about this and that, and I don't want to go out, and it's too hot, and you know, so yeah, so that's kind of how I guess I came about.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're all complaining, you know? I think that's the reality. And so I can totally appreciate that. So can you share, oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's what I love about your videos with Jim is like the reality of camping with the family, you know, the one where you're just like getting climbed on by Wes over and over and over. You're just like,
yeah.
Or when I can't remember, there was another one that made me laugh where I think you were trying to hammer in a steak while Jim was talking to the camera, and you can see in the background that things are not going well and you're like losing it. I love that stuff.
Yeah, so exactly. It's so real, and like everybody does it, you know? So I like sharing that side of things because I'm like, somebody's going to relate to this because it's never perfect out there. So, thank you. Can you share a pivotal moment or experience that kind of solidified your passion for camping and bushcraft?
I was thinking about that one, and I was like, oh, I don't know, because I don't know that it ever got solidified in one moment, but I know it's been just kind of gradually growing. I used to watch Survivor Man. Did you watch Survivor Man with Les
No,
Stroud?
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No,
I was
I
so
know.
into that show where he's like, I'm out here, you can see I'm filming myself, I'm totally alone, and he would like use batteries and start fires and, you know, I don't know, survive off of like bugs and stuff in the desert. Anyway, so I used to think he was amazing, and so I guess that kind of slowly started, and I always was drawn to these stories when I was a kid for whatever reason, of like kids that like the Swiss Family Robinson, where they end up marooned on an island and they have to
Right.
survive. So I don't know why, but that's kind of how it slowly came about. And then when I got older, and I was probably in my 20s, because I had just finished school, and because I'm a big nerd, school was my whole life. So I didn't really have any hobbies other than studying. So when I finally finished, I kind of was like, now what? I didn't know what to do with my time, and I also felt like I didn't have a lot of life skills or confidence. So then I think that's kind of how also I fell into the outdoors, because it was like the adventure and the skill building helped give me some confidence and made me feel like, oh, I'm doing stuff. I know some stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the experience outside definitely helps to build confidence. So that's awesome that you kind of like seem to take that on your own, like just seeing Survivor Man and being inspired to get out there on your own, and especially like not necessarily having a lot of people who maybe looked like you doing that. So I
Right?
think that's really inspiring. Yeah, just
It's
the
so great now that like we have so
self-taught.
many representations. I feel like on Instagram now, like I follow so many different Asian outdoor adventurers and
Amazing.
different people of color. There's like way more representation than I think in 2017, when we probably both joined.
Yeah, it's changed drastically, which is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think that you're a big part of that. And actually, it kind of brings me to another question that I have. You created your account in like 2017, which I'm just learning. I didn't know how long you've had your account, but you kind of started off with like you didn't show your face. Was that an intentional, like did that kind of start off naturally, and then it became intentional, or were you starting off like, no, I do not want to show my face at
Yeah,
all?
I think it was probably unintentional,
Okay.
and then it became intentional, because then I was realizing, you know what, I don't really want to, and then it started getting weird, where people were like, why haven't you shown your face? It's been so long. We've been talking for like years, and then you're like, oh, now I definitely can't, because there's so much pressure. Like,
Right. Yeah.
what if they think I look like something totally different? And then so then it became weird, and then I just was like, and also I did at that time also intentionally do it from the very beginning for safety reasons, like for psychological safety, creative safety, to feel like I can do whatever, be silly. I didn't even really share my account with too many friends and family, because I wanted it to be a place where I explored my own ideas, and without feeling like people were going to be like, oh, why are you doing that? And so that it kind of gave me that. And then the other reason why I didn't for a long time is because I felt like if I put my face out there, and if there are trolls or mean comments, that I would feel like it would hurt me more if they actually knew who I was, and my face is a big part of who I am. So if they said it to me, then I'd feel like they said it to my face, like they said it to me, and I was worried that I would be hurt. So, and then more recently, I guess, just because it's been so long, I guess there's also been this feeling of, I've already been doing it so long, and I haven't really been very fortunate. I have not had a lot of hateful comments. So, knock on wood that that doesn't start now. But yeah, so then because of that, I started feeling like maybe it's not such a big deal. And then I was also starting to feel really limited by my own fear of showing my face, where I really liked creating content, and not being able to show my face was like limiting how I could do it. So then it also came about that way, because it's not like I can hire an actor and be like, okay, action,
Right. Yeah.
you start camping this way, and you know
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay. All right. That's pretty cool, because I feel like, as you were mentioning, just representation, I'm just wondering how, I guess, how, now showing your face, do you think that will affect affect the representation for, you know, people who look like you in the outdoors?
Yeah, I mean, I never think of myself, this is why I never think of myself as a form of representation, because I don't think like that. But I mean, I
Yeah.
guess if it does anything positive, that's wonderful. I don't think of it like that. I just think of it as like, what am I doing for me? It doesn't feel satisfying. And sharing little bits has been kind of, I've had positive feedback where I feel more connected with people in the community. So that's been nice too. So that's kind of
Good.
been a big pro.
Good. Good. Yeah, I do find that I don't know, just in following you and seeing a lot of your stories and just you connecting with a lot of people in the community, I feel like for you in particular, community online is a very, very big part of your page, which is really cool. You seem to connect with a lot of different pages. Maybe more specifically too with knife makers, like people who make knives and things like
Right.
that. So have you developed like do you feel as though you've developed real friendships through these online avenues?
Yeah, I mean, I think that yes, I definitely feel like I have this wonderful community, especially the people that have been around a long time, like you and a few other people that I've known for years. I feel more like this real loyalty to them, like where I want to make sure I want them to be successful. I love supporting their endeavors, whatever it is. They're starting a business. I really like supporting those long time people. I reflecting recently on community, I was thinking that that feeling has been lost, and I don't really know. It's not as easy to create, and I don't know if it's like the way that I've changed my content, or Instagram has changed, or maybe it's just from slowly over the years growing. Because I remember when I was at like 10,000 or less, it was easier to connect with people, and that was also when it was more a photo based kind of Instagram was more photo based. So I don't know if that's maybe why, but I that's why I also created a broadcast channel recently, wanting to connect more with people again, to recreate that community feeling. Because lately I don't know who's out there. I'm not, so there's, anyway, that's my thoughts on the community stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess as you grow, it's harder to connect with people. There's just so many more people that are probably reaching out to you too, right? So it might make it a bit more challenging for sure.
Right.
Growing up, was your family into the outdoors like you are now? Did they take you into any outdoor experiences? How was that for you?
No, and actually, I really want to hear your answer about this one. If you don't mind sharing, my family was not into the outdoors at all. I came from an immigrant family, so my parents were immigrants, and I guess where they came from, camping wasn't really a big thing. So no, I never went camping until I was 20. That was the very first time I ever went camping. Friends took me, and I remember thinking that it was kind of awful because it was June, but it's BC, and it rained, and there was mosquitoes, and I'm very allergic to mosquitoes. If anyone follows me, they know that I hate mosquitoes because I have this terrible allergic reaction. So I was
Oh
covered in
no.
mosquito bites, and I didn't know what to do, so I was scratching, which made everything worse. And I was cold and wet, and yeah, I remember just being like, "This is not fun," and I was bored too because we just sat around camp, and the fire was smoky and wouldn't really get going. So that was my first time camping.
Oh boy.
So it was, yeah, it was a rough start, and so I didn't really get into it until I decided I needed some skills in outdoor stuff and adventures after university.
Okay. And so what does your family think about your lifestyle now?
Well, now they're kind of, I think they're actually pretty encouraging. Like, I think in the beginning there was a lot of worry about, are you going to get lost in the woods? Do you know what you're doing? And then now, because it's been a while, they're like, oh yeah, you're safe and responsible. I always leave a trip plan. I tell them where I'm going. I have a Garmin InReach for
Yeah.
emergencies. I never go anywhere alone, even though Instagram makes it look like I'm alone. And I always feel like sharing that because I'm not actually alone. It's just that I tend to go with people that don't like being on camera, and I don't want to assume that they want to be in my videos or my photos. So so there's a lot of safety stuff there. The only thing that sometimes my family probably still thinks is a little bit strange is how many knives I have, because I have my big knife collection. But that's about it.
Yeah. Okay.
What about your family?
Well, so yeah, like I did not really grow up camping. I went on one camping trip, maybe two, when I was young with my mom. So like my mom and dad, like they were never really together when I was young. So I grew up with my mom, and she took us camping a couple times, and that was really the extent of my outdoor experience. Like, didn't do all the going to summer camp and all of that fun stuff. I would go to like a friend's cottage here and there, but that was it. And so, but as an adult, when I got into it, my family isn't into it. Like my mom wasn't into it. I did go camping with my mom once. I took her to front country camping in Killarney, which was a nice experience to have with her. And then, but my dad is like hard no, absolutely not sleeping on the ground. Like doesn't really like the outdoors, doesn't like
Right.
bugs, he's just like he's a fair weather friend, but yeah, they kind of think I'm a little crazy, to be honest. So,
Oh, do they? Okay, because I thought I started thinking that you came from an outdoorsy family because of the fact that you have all these
yeah.
paddling skills, and then in the recent video when you were in the was it the Yukon, you went with your sister hiking. So then I thought, oh, you both are outdoorsy, and
No, no, my sister is also not outdoorsy at all. Like that was a big thing for her, even just to go. Like she likes kind of the physical aspect of hiking and things like that, but she's just the whole time we're hiking up, she's just like, we're actually hiking on a mountain. Like we're going on a mountain. Like, yeah, that's why we're hiking out here. Like we're not gonna hike. We could go hiking in Ontario if we didn't want to hike in mountains.
that's
And so
awesome.
she just, yeah, she had a blast, but she does not like camping. She doesn't like being in like, I think this small tent was really claustrophobic for her.
Okay,
She's just like, no, she's good.
but your
She's good.
but your brother-in-law also fishes and stuff. He's a fisherman.
Yeah, he's totally into it. He'll do
Oh,
it.
okay.
He was so happy to be out there. He was just like a kid in a candy store. He was so excited and just like so hyped up about it, like fishing and hunting and camping. Like, yeah, I was trying to get my sister to get a little bit more into it. And she's like, she was enjoying the hiking, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's cool that you guys managed. Or how did you gain all of your skills then?
Well, I learned a lot from Jim.
The paddling, like the
Yeah,
techniques with the
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I learned a lot from him, and then just like going on my own trip, finally without him was a big step for me to just like force myself to learn it all without him as a crutch, basically.
Well, good for you. You are like
Thank
you're
you.
definitely your own entity of adventure now. I definitely have enjoyed your solo videos and stuff too.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But I wanted to ask you, so before this chat, I listened to your podcast with the Muskoka Bros. This is back in 2020, which is wild to think that that was 5 years ago. But you did an interview with them, and you mentioned, which you just kind of briefly mentioned, your camping trips or your trips. It looks like you're solo because you don't want to film the people in your group. But at the time when you had done this podcast, you hadn't done any solo trips, because you're like, well, I'm just afraid to, like bears, and there's just something about it that you don't really want to do, which is total, I think, 100% fine. Have you done any solo trips since then?
Yeah, I mean, it barely qualifies as a solo trip, but yeah, I've done a couple like where I enjoy going car camping by myself, like front country
Okay.
camping, where I might sleep in my tent or in the car. I did the car one recently before Christmas. And I do like that. I find that very relaxing. So that's the kind of stuff that I do enjoy doing solo, where I feel very safe in a front country campground because there's, a host or there's families around. I don't have to worry much about like bears or crazy people
Yeah.
in the woods. So I have done that and I really enjoy it because there's something about when you go by yourself that's you can do everything at your own pace. I can set up the tarp, I can fuss with it as much as I want. I can lay in my sleeping bag in the middle of the day, even though it's afternoon, and watch like Netflix on my iPad or something.
Yeah.
So it's very luxurious. I enjoy it. So
Okay.
that's the kind of
That's
solo
awesome.
stuff I've done.
Yeah, which is great. Well, the reason why I'm asking is because I haven't done a solo trip myself either. Like, I haven't gone camping by myself. I've done a couple of like solo paddling where we're I'm there with a friend. We're each solo paddling, which, but I could really relate to you when you were saying like I'm scared of bears and like, and I'm like, yeah, like I don't really have. I guess the desire is there a little bit that I'd like to try it to go solo, but I'm scared and like I'm not afraid to admit that I'm scared. Like, and so I guess I'm just wondering. Obviously, your handle is the Wimpy Camper, and I keep using air quotes for folks who are not actually watching, but because I personally don't think that you're wimpy at all. I think that you clearly have gained a ton of knowledge and experience and expertise in your outdoor endeavors. And whether you're alone or with a group of people, I still think that you're a very qualified outdoors person. And I just know that there would be people out there who would have the opinion that, well, because you've never gone solo backcountry camping or whatever it is, you're not a real outdoors person, or I don't know, you don't really stack up to, they might compare you to others, which I don't think is fair because, it's just maybe not something that you're even interested in necessarily doing is the other thing. And so I guess my question would be, what would you say to somebody who is comparing you?
I guess, I mean, I loved hearing your answer too, because I think early on when I first started learning bushcraft and wanted to like get into gain these skills, a lot of it was about like checking off, okay, I did that. Okay, I can do that. And now I'm in, and so back then I did want to have a solo trip. I felt like that was something I wanted under my belt to be like, I did it. And so there's still a part of me that's kind of like, oh, I would love to be able to say I did that. But it's mostly that I want to say I did that. I don't know if I
Right.
want to do it for the experience. Maybe there's a small part of me that's like, what would you be like? I'd probably just cry. I don't know. If it was like, because I know one friend I have, Sarah Sparky. What's her handle on Instagram? Sparky of the North or something. She contacted me a few years ago to hang out, and we went on a camping trip. And she was like, "Oh, I'm just a total newbie. You know way more than me," or something like that. I remember her being like, "Oh, you're so skilled." And then she told me, "Yeah, I mean, I've only gone out once, but it was the dead of winter by herself on Crown land, building a shelter and sleeping in it. I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 nights." And I was like, my jaw just dropped. And I was like, I cannot even dream of doing that. And you did that by yourself? I was like, oh, yeah. So, yeah, there's still a part of me that's kind of like, I want the experience, but I'm also kind of okay with not having it right now. Maybe I'll
Right.
change my mind.
Right. Who knows? Maybe one day in the future. But I just think that there doesn't need to be the pressure of like, we're all kind of competing to like, oh, I've done this and I've done that. It's like your outdoor experience is your outdoor experience. And whether that's, you want to go in a group or you want to go solo or you want to go front country or you want to go back country, whatever it is, I just think, it's how you want to do it is what's important. So,
Yeah, because the outdoors can be like a place where you challenge yourself, and it can also be a place where you like relax and find like restoration. Like the sitting in your tent watching Netflix, I think is at first I was kind of like, oh, I'm embarrassed. This is what I'm doing. But at the same time, it's what I found restorative. Like I ate snacks and I watched Netflix in a quiet place. Like that's kind of, I don't know. It's okay too.
yeah, it's okay. Exactly. It's okay to enjoy it the way that you want to enjoy it because otherwise, who are you doing it for? You know? Okay, so I mean, I love your content. It's always fun and funny and relatable. Um, and I guess how do you make sure that you maintain this kind of your branding on your content, but also match what your audience and the brands that you're working with are expecting.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I think I'm still learning. Like I don't really think I know exactly how to do that, but I did. I do think that the biggest thing to protect is your own sense of like why you're doing this. So for me, fortunately, I don't really rely on this as like a job. This is I have my job, and then I do this for fun, and I think that's really helped me to kind of as my guiding priority, I guess, is that it's for fun. So as long as I'm enjoying it, and as long as it feels like it's not giving me an ick feeling, like once in a while, I do get an ick feeling from my own account, where I'll be like, oh, that was way too many perfect videos in a row. Like way too many videos where like everything looked like it went perfectly, even though I know it didn't. And then I'll kind of like feel gross about it because it doesn't feel like me. And then I'll feel the need to post something silly or, so I guess the balancing that is just like my gut feeling. Like this doesn't feel like me. This doesn't feel like for fun. It's starting to feel stressful. I don't enjoy it. And when it comes to brand stuff, that's why I think I only partner with brands that I like myself. Like I don't partner with brands that I've never heard of before, or that I myself think that their stuff looks like bad. Like it looks like badly made. It doesn't actually look like it's going to do what it says. So I just avoid companies that reach out saying, "Oh, do you want to help market?" Oh, I can't remember what somebody reached out about, and I sometimes swear that they're not even. Well, sometimes they're scams, but also sometimes they're. I don't even think they've seen who I am because they'll ask me to market jewelry or something. And I'm like,
Yeah,
clearly
right.
not the right thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, because I kind of recall you, and of course I was scrolling through, I couldn't find it, but I kind of recall you saying at one point that like filming yourself feels very vain. Do you think that that's why you feel the need to like maintain a level of like humility and like kind of make fun of yourself a little bit in your content?
I mean, totally. I think that. I mean, Do you feel sometimes vain, or is that just me that I feel like?
No, I 100%,
Okay.
I 100% agree with you. You know, those people who like, I mean, and I don't, this is not a dig on anybody at all ever. But just like to set up the camera and
Oh
like
yeah.
walk out and like look at a view, for example, feels weird to me. And so that's why I, kind of similar to you, try to do stuff that is more making fun of myself or like,
And
you
that's why your
know,
content's so amazing. I love your stuff, Victoria. It's so like I relate to it so much because it doesn't have that feeling that sometimes I get sometimes from scrolling through too much social media. Like we've all done
right,
that thing where you're scrolling, and after a while you kind of feel like, oh my god, are we all obsessed with ourselves and what we
right.
do? And then I start feeling kind of gross about myself. So yeah, I think that's probably why we both. I mean, I don't want to speak for you. That's probably why I do default to making fun of myself because I think it's ridiculous that I am camping and filming myself. Like I kind of like making fun of
Right.
influencers, and even if somebody says, "Oh, are you an influencer?" I just feel mostly shame and embarrassment actually about that.
I'm trying not to laugh too hard or I'll go into a coughing fit, but I know it's so bizarre. Like, and again, like it's a career nowadays. Like, like this is people's careers, and like
Yeah.
there's absolutely no knocks at that. And I respect people who can make it their
Hmm.
full-time career because it is a lot of work and it is a lot of putting yourself out there and feeling uncomfortable and icky about like setting a camera up and filming yourself doing things that a lot of people just do on a day-to-day basis, and you're like, why is what I'm doing so important that I need to film it for other people to watch?
Right.
I think there's that level to it because it's like there's so many women camping who don't I've never heard of because they don't film themselves, they're just out doing it, right? So it does
Yeah.
feel very weird and
Yeah,
vain, it
and they're
does.
probably people that are way more skilled. Like I think about guys like you read Adam Schultz books, and he doesn't film himself hardly at all. And I'm always on
Right,
his Instagram like, oh, I would love to watch an entire like movie of his outings and stuff,
right.
But he doesn't film because he's not a a content creator. And yeah, no knocking actual content creators that do this for a living, because it takes a lot of skill and that is actually a lot of work. But something in me internalizes this shame of like self obsession with myself, so.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then of course, I start to wonder, like I'm sure there's many of us who feel that way, but just I wonder if it's because we didn't grow up doing these outdoor things, so we feel like we don't deserve like a seat at the table of like experts in the outdoors or anything like that. Like I'm still very much imposter syndrome. Like you've been doing this for many years, and just based on what I see, like you certainly seem like you know what you're doing and you have a lot of experience. But I just wonder if there's always going to be that level of like, oh, I'm not as good as other people just because you didn't grow up doing it and you learned it a bit later on in life.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's probably, yeah, it makes sense. Like if you only learned it later, because a lot of the knowledge that I have, because I don't camp all the time, even though on Instagram it might look like that. I only camp every couple weeks. I mean, every month, and maybe I get outside like once every couple weeks. Because of that, it's not like I get a chance to practice these skills every day, like somebody who actually lives a rural lifestyle or, is working in forestry. I don't know, people that actually do this. So a lot of my knowledge and skills I acknowledge are from books, like reading books, watching videos, and that's quite different from like the skill of doing this every day. And so that's probably also part of why I don't feel like an expert. And even though it looks like I'm an expert, but I don't show how many times it took to light this fire. I'm not showing that because then it would go on forever, the video. But anyway, yeah. But yeah.
Have you ever considered starting a podcast?
No, I have not, because I already find it kind of already, for me, juggling Instagram and trying to
Yeah. You're doing a lot.
work too is like, yeah, I already can't get out enough content on my Instagram.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious because just listening to your podcast with the Muskoka Bros, you know a lot about knives, for example. And I feel like even me, who's someone who is not into knives, I could listen to you explain knives in a podcast. I'd be interested to see like what the interest would be in something like that, where you're just like talking about your knife of the week or something like that. I don't know. It's just a thought, but
No, it's funny, the knife stuff. I think I'm not going to say cured, because it's a sickness that I will never be cured from, my knife obsession. But I think that I am in somewhat of a remission. I'm not buying nearly as many knives as I was. I mean,
okay.
and I've kind of like told myself it's kind of becoming unhealthy, because it's not like I was using all of them. It was just like I had to have them. So
Okay.
so now I'm toning it down. I'm in recovery.
You're dialing it back. Okay. Okay, you're in. That's funny. Still, I'm sure you have a lot of knowledge that you can share with folks. Okay, so what's next for the Wimpy Camper, I guess? Any future goals or projects, or are there new skills or areas you're looking to explore?
So I recently was taking a little step back from posting content just for the last few weeks, because I was feeling a little bit tired, and I was also starting to feel a little bit like, why am I doing this? So I guess my goal just is reorienting myself, just kind of like reconnecting with like making sure I'm doing this for enjoyment, not primarily for content creation, but for my enjoyment, and then the content creation comes secondary. So that's kind of I was just taking a little break and kind of thinking about what do I want to do, because I always think that it's always more fun if it's something that I myself would find interesting, I myself would find fun, and that usually creates, I find, the best content. Is if you're really psyched about what you're doing, then it's always more interesting to do and also to watch.
For sure. Yeah, I guess it just kind of happens organically, and you can feel it through the content. Is there any, before we get into the rapid fire questions, are there any pieces of advice that you would give to someone who is new to the outdoors, who would like to get into the outdoors or bushcraft specifically?
Outdoors and bushcraft. I would say don't overthink the gear. I think in the beginning I was really wanting to have the perfect gear. I thought that I couldn't do things unless I had the perfect knife, the perfect tarp, the titanium pot. And now I'm just thinking, don't even worry about that. And actually, you'll probably gain more skills by not obsessing over the gear and just learning the skills. And and uh, and I would say also with not learning, because learning knots actually I found one of the most overwhelming things to learn in the beginning. The best advice I got from a friend was just learn two and learn them well, and don't worry about the rest. So I would say that's how I would tell somebody to get started.
Okay. Yeah, it can be overwhelming, like the amount of gear that's available and like what's the best one, and like there's so much. It's like if you overthink it, you're just going to be in like, paralysis from too many options. So
So
you
many
just have to
options.
go for it sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, use a
Yeah,
big
that's
blue
great
tarp from
advice.
Canadian Tire, and that'll work
Right.
too.
Yeah, the more you get out there, the more you learn, and the more you figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what gear you do need, what you don't need. So, great advice. Okay, so now for just a few fun rapid fire questions.
Okay, I hope I do okay because I'm like rapid fire. I'm usually
There's
really
there's no
slow.
right or wrong
There's no such.
answer.
I'm okay. I'll try.
Yeah, you don't have to answer quickly. It's really just like they're not like super deep questions, I guess.
Okay, okay, all right.
So, you've learned a lot of like cool ways to light fires. Two in particular that stick out to me was the Swedish fire torch and the Dakota fire hole. Of all the different ways you've gotten fires going, what would you say is your favorite way to do it?
Favorite way? Oh, I don't know. The Swedish fire torch is really fun, and I still really want to try another way where instead of splitting the log into four quadrants and starting the fire within the four quadrants, I'd really like to have. You've seen them on Instagram. Like I always want to do what other people do. That's cool. I want to drill a hole into one end and then drill a hole into the other end of the wood so that it kind of meets in an L shape. So that's one of the things that I'd love to do, but that's probably one of the more fun ways to start a fire is to see this gigantic flame coming through a log.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, and what is your favorite meal to cook over the fire?
Probably steak. I was trying
Steak,
to come up with a
classic.
more interesting answer,
No,
but
no, that's listen,
it's the most
it's
satisfying thing is to watch a steak get cooked on the fire.
yeah, and it's delicious. Who doesn't love a steak in the woods, you know?
Yeah.
Would you prefer to camp? Okay, here's a question for me and you. I'm not going to answer it, but just this is relatable for me. Would you prefer to camp at a site that is infested with spiders or that has a fresh pile of bear poop on it?
Oh my God, that's a terrible question.
I know, I'm sorry.
I think, oh yeah, it's gonna have to be the bear poop. I'm sorry, I just cannot handle spiders.
Nice. I would
Yeah,
probably say the same thing. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, hopefully that means
Spiders.
he's like moved on from the area. Spiders. I'm like, what can you do about a spider infestation? No.
Oh, yeah. That would be like worst nightmare. So that's a hard no. Okay, and what knot do you use the most?
Ooh, I love talking about knots now that I actually understand a few. The one knot that I use the most. Okay,
Yeah, like I
The
would say
taut
that
line
you
hitch, I guess. The taut line hitch,
okay.
as taught by Joe
Okay.
Robinette. Yeah.
Okay, the taut line hitch. Okay, and then if there's one thing we all know about you, it is that you love your knives. So if you had to only choose one knife to use for the rest of your life,
Oh no.
what would it be?
Oh, that's so tough. Oh, I don't know. Okay, so I guess I would pick the one that was custom made for me, and that was by Satterfield Knives. It's a custom
Okay.
wood lore that I basically drew myself. It's like a wood lore clone. I sent him the piece of paper that I drew it on with all the measurements
Wow.
of what I wanted. He made it exactly as I wanted. So shout out to Satterfield Knives for basically humoring a complete knife nut. Like he would send me pictures every day, like this, and I'd be like, yes, like that, just like that, and a little more like this, and he would do it exactly as I wanted.
That's amazing. I love that so much. Cool. Well, that's really all I had for you. I really appreciate your time. And if anybody wants to check you out, if they don't already know who you are, the Wimpy Camper on Instagram. And if there's any other information that you'd like me to share with folks, I can definitely add it into the show notes. Otherwise, thank you so much. It was so nice to finally meet you somewhat in person, but face to face. It
Yes. Well, thanks so much, Tori. It was so nice to talk to you.
was so nice to chat. We'll talk to you soon.